Before this story swallows you whole, hit subscribe, because inside these walls, truth is darker than any rumor whispered through a cell block. The dawn inside Leavenworth never feels like dawn. The lights flicker on with a cold blue hum, washing over concrete that hasn't seen sunlight in decades. The air holds that familiar mix of steel, disinfectant, and tension, the kind that settles into your chest before you even know why. Guards walk their early shift with the same cautious rhythm, eyes tracing every doorway, every movement, every shadow. But this morning something is different. It starts with a silence too heavy for a federal prison known for constant noise. No muttered arguments from the tier below. No clanking from the kitchen crew. No echoing curses from inmates waking to another day they didn't want. Instead, the entire East Wing feels suspended, like the air itself is holding its breath. Officer Ramirez senses it first. 12 years on duty have sharpened his instincts into something close to survival. As he turns the corner toward cell block F, he slows. The hallway smells unfamiliar, less like bleach, more like dust and something off-script. He taps his radio but doesn't speak. Protocol demands he check it first. 3 cells down, inmate Marcus Lane sits on the edge of his bunk, tattooed arms resting on his knees, eyes fixed on the floor like he's afraid to look anywhere else. Marcus isn't the kind of man who scares easily. His ink runs from wrist to shoulder, faded blues and blacks marking years of gang ties he no longer claims. But today his jaw is clenched tight. Behind him, his cellmate is missing. That absence is the first thread in a story that will unravel the entire wing. Ramirez steps closer. Lane, where's Cooper? Marcus lifts his head slowly. His voice comes out low, steady, too controlled. He never came back after count, boss. Count ended 5 hours ago. Ramirez feels the shift immediately, the kind that precedes lockdowns, interrogations, and paperwork stacked to the ceiling. But more than that, it feels wrong in a way he can't name. Cooper wasn't the type to stir trouble openly. Covered in sprawling black and gray tattoos that crawled across his shoulders and neck, he blended in, kept quiet, followed routine. Guys like that don't just vanish. Ramirez radios it in. Within minutes, the block fills with boots and clipped voices. Doors slam. Radios crackle. The entire unit plunges into a controlled tension, the kind that spreads fast in a place built on fear and suspicion. Investigators arrive next. The Federal Bureau of Prisons internal team, led by Special Officer Dana Briggs. She walks with the calm authority of someone who's seen crises unfold from every angle. Her dark blazer cuts through the brightness of the hallway. Her expression doesn't waver even as inmates lean against barred doors, watching her every move. She steps into Cooper's cell. It looks normal at first, thin mattress, metal desk, neatly stacked books. But on the floor near the drain, lies something that twists the entire morning into a deeper mystery. A strip of fabric torn from a prison uniform, soaked but not with blood, with muddy debris. Soil. Dirt from outside. In a high-security federal penitentiary like Leavenworth, dirt inside a cell is more than unusual. It's a message. Briggs crouches, picking it up with gloved fingers. This shouldn't be here, she murmurs. Ramirez hears the alarm behind her calm tone. Whatever happened isn't a simple disappearance, it's a breach. Before she can continue, a sharp noise echoes from the hallway, a metallic slam followed by shouted orders. Briggs and Ramirez rush out. Inmates press against door windows, tension rising with every second. At the far end of the tier, guards have gathered around the utility panel, the one that controls water and ventilation for half the block. The metal cover hangs loose, screws scattered on the floor. The opening isn't large, but behind it, there's space. Just enough for a desperate man to squeeze through. The panel leads to the maintenance shafts, a maze of narrow passages rarely used, never meant for inmates. But someone had been inside. Fresh scuff marks line the grate. Dust patterns are disturbed. A faint trail of mud smears along the lower edge. Briggs studies the opening with a sharp, narrowed gaze. He didn't escape, she says quietly. He moved deeper inside. An internal escape. The kind investigators hate most. Inmates start murmuring. Tattoos shift over tense muscles as they exchange looks, knowing the storm building above them will reach every cell. Rumors spread fast in Leavenworth, faster than truth, faster than logic. Some whisper Cooper found a way out. Others claim he was taken. A few say they heard something in the night, footsteps in the vents, metal scraping, distant banging. But the real trouble begins when inmate Jordan Pike steps forward. His sleeves rolled up, tattoos crawling across both arms like living stories. He leans close to the glass of his cell door and speaks with unsettling confidence. Cooper wasn't alone in there. Briggs freezes. "What did you see, Pike?" He smirked slightly. "Didn't see anything. But I heard voices. More than one. Whispering, moving. Someone guiding him. Guiding him." The words ripple through the hallway. If true, this isn't a solo disappearance. It's a coordinated act, the kind that requires planning, knowledge of the facility, and someone with enough reach inside the prison to orchestrate it. Briggs suppresses the chill climbing her spine. She knows inmate rumors often distort reality, but sometimes, buried inside them, truth waits like a trigger. She orders a full lockdown of the block. Alarms blare. Steel gates slam shut. Lights dim to emergency mode, casting everything in a washed-out blue tone that deepens the unease. As guards sweep cells, Briggs steps back toward Cooper's unit. Something catches her eye, a faint scrape on the concrete near the bunk. She kneels, brushing her fingers lightly along it. It's a mark, deliberate, carved with pressure. Just one symbol. A half circle. Fresh. She doesn't know what it means yet. But every instinct tells her it wasn't carved by Cooper. And as the cell block falls into lockdown silence, Briggs realizes this is no escape attempt. It's the beginning of something far more dangerous. Something planned. Something hidden. Something still unfolding inside the walls. And the last clue hits her like a cold shot of adrenaline. The maintenance shaft cover wasn't opened from the inside, it was opened from the outside. The chapter closes as Briggs steps into the blue shadows, knowing one truth. Whatever happened here, someone on the inside helped make it possible. And they're still out there. The lockdown sirens fade, leaving only the cold hum of fluorescent lights vibrating through the east wing. Every door on the tier is sealed. Every inmate stands behind reinforced glass, watching the unfolding investigation with hungry eyes. In Leavenworth, information is currency, and today the price just went up. Special Officer Dana Briggs moves through the hallway with a clipboard in one hand and a hard stare that cuts through the dim blue glow. She knows the next few hours will decide whether this is a containment issue or the beginning of something far more calculated, something that could fracture the stability of a high-security federal prison. The first task is routine. Verify timelines, recheck count sheets, and map the last known movements of Cooper, the tattooed inmate who vanished into the maintenance shafts. But routine doesn't survive long in a facility built on secrets. Briggs reaches the command post. Captain Rourke, overseeing the lockdown, doesn't wait for her questions. "Security cameras in F block glitched at 2:17, he says, sliding a tablet toward her. "Only for 12 seconds, but that's when Cooper disappeared." Briggs studies the footage. The feed freezes, warps, then returns. 12 seconds gone. Not long, but long enough for a planned movement. Prison surveillance isn't supposed to glitch without reason. Someone had knowledge of the system. Could be a hardware failure, Rourke offers, but his tone says he doesn't believe it. Briggs turns away. Or someone triggered a loop. That possibility carries weight and danger. A loop means internal access. Internal access means inside help. In a high-security prison built to crush escape attempts, that would be a breach of the highest order. She heads back toward cell block F. Investigators question inmates one by one, starting with those closest to Cooper. The goal isn't just to gather statements, it's to read the room, catch inconsistencies, and feel where tension sits. The first interview is Marcus Lane. He sits in a small interrogation room, hands cuffed, tattoos coiling over his forearms like silent warnings. His voice is low, calm, almost resigned. Cooper wasn't the type to run, he says. Man kept his head down. Didn't talk much. Spent half his day sketching. Sketching what? Briggs asked. Marcus shrugs. Didn't matter. He drew to stay sane. But sanity wasn't what Cooper left behind, only confusion. Briggs leans forward. Did he mention anything unusual? Anyone he didn't trust? Marcus's eyes flicker. It lasts less than a second, but Briggs catches it. Something he's not saying. Something held back. I told you, he repeats. He didn't talk. The hesitation sticks to Briggs like dust. She doesn't press further. Experienced inmates shut down when pushed too fast. She ends the interview but marks his statement mentally. Next is Jordan Pike. If Marcus is quiet tension, Pike is the opposite. Electric, restless, too eager to share. Tattoos crawl up both arms and across his chest, visible beneath the thin fabric of his uniform. He leans forward as soon as Briggs steps in. You want to know who helped Cooper? He says, smirking. Check your own staff. Briggs keeps her tone neutral. Why would a guard risk that? Pike laughs softly. There's always a reason. Money. Favors. Protection. Or maybe Cooper knew something he shouldn't. Everyone has leverage in a place like this. She studies him carefully. He's not lying, but he's not telling the whole truth either. His eyes shift whenever she mentions the maintenance shafts, like he knows more than he wants her to understand. Before she can continue, a guard knocks on the door. "Ma'am, we found something." She follows him to the utility corridor. The blue security lights flicker overhead as they approach the open maintenance panel. A technician kneels nearby, examining wiring behind the wall. On the floor lies a strip of metal, bent, sharpened, shaped. A makeshift tool. Not a weapon but something precise, something used to pry open the panel without triggering alarms. Briggs picks it up with a gloved hand. "This wasn't made last night," she says. "This took time." Rourke exhales sharply. Which means Cooper had help long before the disappearance. Briggs pauses. A pattern is forming, quiet, calculated, hidden beneath normal routines. Not an impulsive escape but a planned infiltration. A move inside the walls, not out of them. She orders a search of the maintenance shafts. The team spreads out, crawling through the narrow tunnels with flashlights cutting through layers of dust. The space is claustrophobic. Pipes hissing softly, cables snaking along the walls, the floor coated in grime. Every sound echoes like a warning. 20 minutes in, they find the first sign of human movement. Fresh shoe prints in the dust. There are two sets. One matches standard inmate footwear. The other does not. Briggs crouches studying them. The second set is heavier, more deliberate. Someone who knew where they were going. Someone who moved with purpose. A guard? A maintenance worker? Someone with clearance? The deeper question rises, why meet Cooper inside the shafts? Before she can analyze it further, a radio crackles. "We've got something else." South exit of the tunnel. Briggs moves fast, crawling through the shaft until she reaches a wider junction. There, partially hidden behind a pipe, lies a small bundle wrapped in cloth. She unwraps it slowly. Inside are sketches. Cooper's sketches. Blueprint-style drawings of parts of the prison. Air ducts, service tunnels, maintenance access points. Nothing violent, nothing graphic. But detailed in a way that suggests long observation and a clear understanding of the facility's skeleton. Briggs flips through the pages, until one makes her stop. A diagram she doesn't recognize. A section of tunnels not on modern schematics. Old infrastructure. Unused. Unmapped. Forgotten. But Cooper found it. And someone else knew. As she stares at the sketch, a cold realization settles into her gut. This incident isn't just an escape attempt. It's the opening move in something larger. A quiet, deliberate, strategic infiltration of Leavenworth's inner structure. She gathers the drawings and climbs out of the tunnel, her mind racing. Someone is orchestrating this from inside. Someone with access to old plans. Access to cameras. Access to inmates' routines. Someone who wants investigators looking in the wrong direction. Briggs walks back into the cold blue light of the corridor with a new truth pressing against her chest. Cooper didn't vanish. He was led. And whoever led him isn't done yet. The prison's blue-toned corridors no longer feel static. They pulse with tension, each echo of boots against concrete amplifying the fear that has settled in the East Wing. Leavenworth, one of America's oldest federal penitentiaries, thrives on routine, and yet routine has broken. Every officer, every inmate, every system now teeters on the edge of disruption. Special Officer Dana Briggs moves cautiously through cell block F. Her eyes sweep every angle. The flickering overhead lights, the scuffed floors, the reinforced doors that hide hundreds of tattooed bodies, each carrying stories of survival and strategy. Cooper's disappearance was no accident. It was a meticulously orchestrated act, and now its consequences are beginning to unravel the fragile balance of the prison. The first signs of rising danger appear in subtle ways. Guards report small but unnerving incidents. Personal items displaced, radios misaligned, routine checks that turn up nothing unusual yet still leave an icy feeling. The investigators know these are early signals. Someone is testing boundaries, probing weaknesses, and possibly watching their every move. Inside a dimly lit cell, Marcus Lane paces silently. His tattoos wind over his arms like a labyrinth, shadows from the overhead blue lights crawling across the inked skin. He senses movement outside his cell door, the quiet, calculated steps of a man he doesn't trust. Every glance, every shift of the corridor lights tells him the investigation is closing in. Yet he cannot speak. His silence is a shield and a prison in itself. Meanwhile, Jordan Pike sits against the wall of his cell, tattoos stark beneath the cold blue glow. He smirks as whispers of Cooper's escape echo through the block. But behind the confidence is a calculation. Alliances shifting like sand, loyalties tested under pressure. Pike knows that any misstep could make him the next target, either from inmates who fear exposure or guards desperate for answers. The investigators, aware of the growing internal threat, deploy a careful protocol: dual surveillance teams, frequent headcounts, and checks of the shadowed maintenance corridors. Every inch of the prison is scanned, every recorded movement cross-referenced against Cooper's sketches. The tapes reveal something that tightens Briggs' chest: fleeting shadows in the maintenance shafts, shapes moving where only inmates should be. Someone is deliberately covering tracks. Pressure rises further when an unexpected discovery hits. A guard's missing keycard is reported. It vanished during the morning shift, creating a breach in the secure system. Briggs immediately narrows her focus. Insider assistance is no longer a theory. The combination of glitching cameras, coordinated escape routes, and missing security tools points to one possibility: collusion between staff and inmates. Briggs organizes controlled interviews with all officers who had access to cell block F in the past 48 hours. One guard, nervous and tattooed forearm visible under rolled sleeves, flinches when questioned about the maintenance shaft access. He stammers, recalling inconsistencies, revealing how small, calculated favors can tip the balance. Nothing overtly criminal, just enough to leave a crack for those desperate or clever enough to exploit it. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the South Corridor, the investigators discover additional evidence: faint, muddy scuffs leading to a previously overlooked exit hatch. The hatch, small and almost invisible, suggests that Cooper was guided toward a secondary staging area within the prison, a place few knew existed. Briggs crouches to inspect the floor, fingerprints carefully collected by forensic staff, yet even these reveal little. Whoever orchestrated this knew exactly how to avoid detection. Back in the cells, tension spirals. Tattooed inmates glance at one another with suspicion, whispers spreading rapidly. Alliances shift quietly. Someone trusted yesterday may betray today. The psychological pressure builds, the kind that seeps into dreams, making routine seem like a trap, every shadow a threat. Briggs realizes the stakes have risen beyond a single disappearance. The chain of events is deliberate, long-planned, and designed to test every layer of security. She orders a sweep of the maintenance tunnels, reinforced with a second security team. Flashlights cut through the blue-toned darkness, illuminating dust motes that float like silent witnesses. The confined space amplifies every sound: a dropped tool, a cough, the scrape of a boot, each one a possible clue or a trap. Suddenly, a muffled voice echoes from deep within the shaft. It's indistinct, almost swallowed by the concrete walls. Briggs signals the team to pause. Every step forward now carries weight. Inmates, guards, and investigators alike are playing a high-stakes psychological chess match. One wrong move could compromise the investigation or endanger lives. At the same time, evidence of deliberate deception emerges. A stack of Cooper's sketches has been disturbed, some pages missing. Someone inside the prison is manipulating the information, controlling the narrative from within. It's a subtle but dangerous act. Controlling perception is as effective as any physical escape. Briggs senses it immediately. The stakes have shifted from a single missing inmate to an internal conspiracy. As the investigation progresses, the pressure mounts inside the prison walls. Tattooed inmates exchange nervous glances. Guards adjust routines, more alert yet uncertain who can be trusted. The internal friction grows palpable, the cell block a pressure cooker of suspicion, secrecy, and fear. Then comes the breakthrough. A pattern in the camera glitches, subtle but undeniable, aligns with Cooper's movement through the maintenance shafts. Briggs cross-references this with witness accounts and scuff marks. The revelation hits. Cooper's exit was staged to mislead the investigation. The disappearance was never about leaving the prison entirely. It was a controlled maneuver within the facility, a test of Leavenworth's internal systems, and a demonstration of how easily order can unravel when human error and insider knowledge converge. As the chapter closes, Briggs stands in the corridor, blue lights casting long shadows across concrete and steel. Tattooed inmates watch from behind glass, unaware of how close she has come to uncovering the orchestrator. The psychological tension in the cell block is electric. Every move, every glance, every word now carries weight because inside the prison, danger is not always visible. Sometimes it's silent, lurking behind knowledge, alliances, and unspoken motives. And in that silence, Briggs understands a chilling truth. The walls that confine Leavenworth's inmates cannot contain the consequences of a single calculated act. Someone inside is still moving pieces, and the next move could ignite chaos far beyond anything they've seen so far. The prison feels alive in its quietest moments. Leavenworth's concrete corridors, washed in pale blue security lighting, hum with tension. Every metallic clang, every distant footstep, resonates through the facility, echoing against walls that have contained generations of criminals. But tonight, the walls themselves seem to whisper secrets. Secrets investigators are now determined to expose. Special Officer Dana Briggs moves carefully down the corridor of cell block F. The blue light paints shadows across her face and the polished tattoos of guards who follow her. Each step is calculated. Every glance scans for patterns, for inconsistencies that could point to the orchestrator behind Cooper's disappearance. Her mind replays the clues: the maintenance shaft, the missing sketches, the inexplicable camera glitches, and the subtle manipulations among staff and inmates alike. The first breakthrough comes from the surveillance room. Briggs studies hours of footage frame by frame, cross-referencing timestamps with inmate movements. There it is, a faint, almost imperceptible shadow in the maintenance corridor. Not Cooper, but someone guiding him, moving deliberately, their body partially concealed by structural beams. A hand reaches toward the shaft hatch, adjusting a mechanism. Not a guard in uniform, but someone with intimate knowledge of the prison's inner workings. Briggs traces the shadow's path and realizes something unsettling. The orchestrator wasn't just familiar with security procedures. They understood human behavior, predicting how guards and inmates would react at every stage. The plan was not spontaneous. It was precise, tactical, psychological. Back on cell block F, tension escalates. Tattooed inmates shift uneasily in their cells, murmuring to one another behind reinforced glass. Every glance, every whisper is measured. Alliances solidify and fracture in real time. Inmates like Marcus Lane, quiet and observant, watch intently, sensing the investigation's pressure but unsure how much to reveal. Others, like Jordan Pike, exude a dangerous confidence, aware that knowledge is leverage and timing is everything. Investigators move to interview key personnel. Officer Ramirez recalls seeing irregularities during routine counts. Doors left ajar for seconds too long, subtle hand movements of other staff, and the peculiar timing of cell inspections. Briggs cross-checks these observations with the forensic evidence. The disturbed sketches, the mud in unexpected places, and the subtle markings on the concrete near Cooper's last known location. Each piece fits a disturbing puzzle. The escape was never about fleeing the prison entirely. It was an elaborate manipulation designed to test Leavenworth's internal systems, expose vulnerabilities, and possibly prepare for something larger. The interrogation rooms are quiet but charged. Tattooed inmates are brought in sequentially. Every answer is weighed against hidden motives, every hesitation dissected. Some provide nothing, some offer misleading narratives intended to divert attention. But patterns emerge. Subtle phrases, repeated gestures, overlapping timelines, each leads Briggs closer to the orchestrator. Meanwhile, a security sweep of the maintenance shafts reveals an old, forgotten section of the prison infrastructure. Dust-laden metal corridors, narrow and unused for decades, extend deep beneath the cell blocks. Footprints, faint but deliberate, line the concrete. Briggs follows them carefully, noting they match both Cooper's size and that of someone else entirely. Someone larger, stronger, and trained to move unnoticed. The psychological implications are staggering. Someone inside Leavenworth exploited its hidden architecture, turning the prison itself into a tool for deception. By late evening, investigators gather in the command room. Maps of the facility are spread across tables, annotated with timestamps, scuff marks, and camera angles. Briggs points to one anomaly: the previously missing sketches. They were deliberately relocated, staged to mislead. The orchestrator manipulated the information flow, controlling perception and timing every step. The level of sophistication exceeds anything anticipated within a federal prison's walls. The pressure is mirrored in the inmate population. Tattooed bodies shift behind reinforced glass as whispers grow louder. Rumors of insider collusion circulate. Fear spreads, carefully measured but undeniably real. Inmates begin to question loyalty, questioning alliances that have long provided protection. Prison psychology unfolds in real time. Trust erodes, tension amplifies, and the cell block becomes a high-stakes theater of anticipation. Then comes the final clue before the end of the chapter. A hidden cache of tools, carefully stored in an unused utility tunnel. The implements are subtle, not weapons but precise instruments capable of manipulating locks, panels, and access points without triggering alarms. Forensic examination links some of these tools to fingerprint smudges discovered earlier. Briggs steps back, absorbing the enormity of the evidence. The orchestrator had the skill, knowledge, and patience to exploit every weakness in the prison's design and human behavior. The truth crystallizes. Cooper's disappearance, the shadows in the corridors, the missing sketches, and the subtle staff irregularities were all part of a single, cohesive plan. Leavenworth, a fortress of the federal system, had been infiltrated from within. Every guard rotation, every inmate routine, every mechanical flaw had been observed, analyzed, and exploited. As the chapter closes, Briggs walks through the dimly lit corridors of Cell Block F. Tattooed inmates watch silently, unaware that investigators now understand the full scope of the conspiracy within their walls. Blue light reflects off metal doors, illuminating the silent tension. Every step carries the weight of revelation. The walls that confine these inmates also concealed betrayal, manipulation, and strategic cunning. And the orchestrator remains at large, their next move uncertain, their presence palpable in every shadow. The air in Leavenworth hangs thick with anticipation. The blue-toned lights of Cell Block F illuminate the silent, tense corridors as guards and investigators move strategically, fully aware that every step could trigger chaos. The investigation has revealed the orchestrator's methods, the hidden tunnels, the manipulated sketches, and the subtle collusion that allowed Cooper's staged disappearance. But the final confrontation, the moment of truth, is still to come. Special Officer Dana Briggs stands in the command corridor, maps and reports spread across a metal table. She traces movements of both Cooper and the shadowed accomplice through timestamps and scuff marks, mentally reconstructing the plan. Each detail, each observation, every tattooed inmate's behavior points to the orchestrator, a veteran staff member who has exploited human error, infrastructure knowledge, and inmate psychology to perfection. The first confrontation occurs inside the now empty maintenance tunnels. Briggs moves cautiously, flashlight cutting through blue-toned shadows. Pipes cast elongated patterns on the walls. There's a faint echo, deliberate footsteps matching the size of the accomplice. She signals the team forward, moving in a coordinated sweep. Every noise is magnified in the narrow corridor. A dropped glove, the subtle shift of dust, a breath that hangs too long. Suddenly, a figure emerges from a side hatch. A guard, partially visible, tattoos on forearms creeping from uniform sleeves. He freezes, realizing the investigation has traced the infiltration. Briggs steps forward, calm but authoritative. "It's over. We know what you did." The guard hesitates, calculating options. His knowledge of the prison's inner workings is vast. His familiarity with routines and hidden corridors is unmatched. But even expertise cannot outweigh evidence. Fingerprints on the tools, disturbed sketches, camera glitch patterns, witness accounts from tattooed inmates, and the physical trail in the maintenance shaft. Cornered, the orchestrator drops the defensive facade. Confession comes reluctantly, meticulously phrased to deflect culpability. But investigators are prepared. Every claim is cross-referenced and disproven, revealing the truth layer by layer. Cooper's staged disappearance, the misdirection of surveillance, and the careful manipulation of inmate alliances were all part of a single, calculated plan. Meanwhile, inside Cell Block F, tattooed inmates sense the change. Whispers pass from bunk to bunk. Alliances, once fragile, dissolve under pressure. Marcus Lane watches silently, understanding the orchestration but relieved to see control restored. Jordan Pike, ever cunning, maintains a composed exterior, but the tension is visible in his eyes, a reminder that in prison, observation is survival. Evidence is catalogued and secured. The sketches are recovered, the hidden tunnels are mapped, and the tools are confiscated. Forensic teams document every step. The cell block returns to structured routines, alarms now more than just mechanical, but a reminder of human ingenuity and the consequences of exploiting it. The aftermath carries an emotional weight. Cooper, tattooed arms covered in faint bruises from psychological stress, is escorted back into controlled confinement. His role in the orchestration remains partially unclear, whether coerced, complicit, or manipulated, leaving an unsettling ambiguity. Inmates and staff alike absorb the lesson. The prison system can be tested, and every small weakness can ripple into high-stakes danger. Briggs reflects on the case as the blue-toned corridor lights flicker overhead. Every detail, from the maintenance shaft to the subtle staff collusion, underscores the complexity of criminal psychology inside high-security facilities. Leavenworth has withstood the test, but the orchestrator's plan has exposed vulnerabilities that will shape procedures for years. And yet, as calm returns, one subtle detail lingers: a set of faint, fresh scuff marks in a disused utility corridor, outside of camera range. Briggs notes them silently, knowing the prison never fully sleeps, and that human cunning often leaves shadows behind. The case closes, the orchestrator is in custody, Cooper is contained, and the investigation documented. But the prison itself remains a living, breathing entity, blue-lit, concrete-lined, and eternally tense. Every step echoes, every shadow holds history, and every inmate carries stories etched into inked skin. If this prison case stunned you, the next one will be even darker. Subscribe so you don't miss it.